Hello subscribers of the Temple Kinesis and Jungle Temple YouTube. In recent years, we've turned our direction from physical brick-and-mortar gym, as many of you know, to digital. As I've moved here and transitioned to Costa Rica, a big part of my programs and continuation of work with clients has been on the digital platforms such as YouTube, Facebook, Zoom, and WhatsApp, a lot of virtual calls, keeping up to date with my clients' programs, training programs myself, and also educating trainers, which is something that we did at Temple Kinesis Gym for many years. As anybody that had experienced a physical membership at Temple Kinesis in the past knows and knew that we would allow apprentice trainers and trainers seeking certifications to come and learn from me and the other certified trainers and college-educated trainers that Temple Kinesis employed. And then eventually they would become professional, certified, accredited trainers themselves, and they would start to rent space and build their clientele and eventually move on to open their own facility. And that was the atmosphere of why I built Temple Kinesis, because I wanted to provide an alternative perspective in the physical and personal training world from what the typical big box gyms had offered traditionally. So, that said, a lot of the lessons I've put into bullet points when I'm teaching a trainer how to start an e-coaching program, things that have been successful for me, and this video is going to highlight that specifically. And in coming months and years, you're going to see on this channel many of the trainers that I've helped educate and assisted in creating their own brands and businesses all over the world are going to be contributing their lessons and their knowledge base to the Temple Kinesis and the Jungle Temple YouTube channel. So any subscribers that we have, be ready. You're going to get really, really awesome resources and education and online training from myself and a lot of the trainers that I've worked with previously and that I've worked with since the closing of the physical location of Temple Kinesis, who are now doing their thing all over the United States and all over the planet in order to help clients and in order to help generations to come, because the digital realm is the future. And as we transition away from physical locations, for whatever reason, the pandemic hit and everybody was kind of banned from going to gyms, so digital started to take over. But also in the future, people are seeking more convenience and digitization of services that they once sought in brick and mortar situations. So that said, we're trying to stay ahead of the curve here and to provide resources for not only our generation, but for the future generations that have access to the internet and all of this documentation of what was done in the past, so that these resources can last for as long as the internet is around, and who knows how long that's going to be. It could be thousands of years, it could be longer than that. So this is the modern library, and I would like to provide resources for people to access and not have an expiration date, or not have to pay for a physical gym membership, or not have to pay for one-on-one Zoom training and things like that, because those sessions are not stored. And the sessions that, or I would even say just the lessons and general education that we will provide here is going to last forever, which is super cool. So without further ado, this video specifically is to help those of you trainers, personal trainers and wellness experts and professionals to have some tips and guidance into how to maximize and optimize your e-coaching programs. So here we go. So as a trainer, you must ask your clients to give you a few things, kind of guideline, foundational principles. And the first and most important, both for a trainer to be with a client, but also requesting that your clients also share this with you, is honesty. Be honest. Tell your trainer everything that they need to know so that you can have an open and aware field guide to build upon. And what I mean by that is, don't hide habits even if you think they're bad habits. If you like to go eat French fries once a day, or you smoke 10 cigarettes a day, or you like to have a glass of wine every day, you need to share that. It's vitally important that the trainer knows all of the things in your life, even if you're going through some depression or have some post-traumatic stress. These things eventually are going to come up and they're going to affect your wellness. So you need to be fully open, and trainers, you need to request that your clients are fully open and honest with you from the start. Also, trainers, explain to your clients, and be aware of this yourself, that you need to expect slow but sure progress. When you stick to a program and you're disciplined with it and you're consistent with it, there will be progress, but you need to be patient with yourself and your clients, and eventually the world will become your oyster, or as we can say in the physical training world, your playground. You also need to explain to your clients, and for you to know as well, but more specifically the clients, master your own workout. Keep it simple, master our plan, and the rest will come. Advise them not to expect to be an elite CrossFitter or elite obstacle racer or be like a professional athlete right away, both in physical, appearance and abilities. That they need to master the foundational exercises first, and that the advanced skills and advanced training will come later. Make sure that your clients are aware of this and they're not having unrealistic expectations. Now, this is specific for the trainers and not just expectations of your clients or foundational principles that you need to discuss with your clients. These are things that you really need to understand or implement so that you can have successful programs with your clients. The first session that you have with your clients should not be a workout. It should be a mechanics review where you see front profile and side profile of their movements through basic exercises like squats, push-ups, just general posture, how they're carrying themselves, and their abilities both in mobility and strength, and a little bit of cardiovascular observation in how they move through general basic movements, so that you can form a custom tailored workout for each person that you encounter. If you just dive into a pre-written workout that you know works for you and has worked with other people, you're not going to serve that person the best that you can. The key is understand their mechanics before you develop the program. Trainers, another very important part to your e-coaching program is staying consistent with follow-ups. And what I mean by that is developing some type of newsletter or mailing list so that when your client signs up with you, their email is added to your mailing list, whatever service you may use, Constant Contact, MailChimp, there's a million out there. But make sure that you're set up with this, because in the physical world, in a brick and mortar gym, we see our clients in days in between sessions, days in between classes, whether it's on the street, out at the supermarket, on Facebook groups, or specifically in the gym on days that they're not with you one-on-one, or at least in a group class setting. And it's always important to have conversations with them. How are your eating habits going? How is your mentality doing lately? Are you keeping up with exercises in the meantime? How are you feeling after our workouts? How are you feeling the day that you wake up after a workout? How many days is soreness lasting? Obviously, in the physical world, when we're interacting with each other, these are questions just normally come up in conversation. But with e-coaching, you don't have that one-on-one, personalized, in-person interaction with these people. So it's very important to ensure your clients, but also for yourself, for the sake of the progress of the client, that you're staying in touch and continuing to give them tips. So a great way to do so is an email blast, even just once a week, or it could even be once a month, just to give them refreshers or courses or some video workouts that they can do in between your sessions together. So something I highly recommend is at least once a week. Try to do it at least once a week. You're keeping some type of update, even if it's just one-sided. You're just sending a list of tips or a couple of good, healthy recipes that they can use in their life, or workouts to complement your one-on-one training. Something also very important, trainers, is to have some type of inclusivity with your clients and creating a community. Having a physical gym, this is easy because you open the doors in the morning and people come in, and it's like a community center. It's like a hangout zone that's better for their health and for their mentality than a bar would be, or even a cafe would be, where they can go and have conversations and connections with like-minded people with similar goals, working, of course, with you as the coach, but they can have conversations and they can support each other. So the way that we can do this in the modern world is through Facebook, or whatever they're calling it nowadays, Meta, and who knows what it's going to evolve to in the future. But create a private Facebook group for your clients only, somewhere that they can interact with each other, but also receive updates daily from you. And clients who have seen success can post progress, which will inspire new clients to stay dedicated to the program. And that's part of the benefit of being in a gym, is they'll see somebody who looks really fit, and they'll have a conversation with that person, and that person may tell them, a year ago I looked just like you. So there's relatability, there's a community understanding, and even an empathy that occurs there that is very important, that in the e-coaching world and the digital transition can be very difficult to maintain. But thankfully, we do have outlets like Facebook, which allows private groups and members only to join, that we can use as a resource. So I highly recommend, once you start your e-coaching program, that you give your clients access to a private group where they can communicate and also observe the progress of other people that have been with your program so far. Vitally important. And finally, I've touched upon this a little bit as far as what goes into the newsletter and what can be discussed in the Facebook groups, but it is super important, extremely important, trainers, that you're not just giving physical exercises in your e-coaching program. And yes, you want to dedicate your half-hour or 1-hour sessions with the client to making the most out of what they can do with their body, because you know for those other 23 hours of the day and maybe several days of the week that they're not with you, that they might not be doing all the physical activity that they should be doing to optimize the program with you. That said, it's very difficult for us to, monitor our clients' physical work. What we can do is provide them lifestyle and eating habit suggestions that and you'll be able to see almost immediately within a few weeks if they are maintaining those habits and observing the lessons that you're sharing with them. So in your newsletters, in your mailing list, in your Facebook group, the most important thing we can share is ways to benefit or adapt to and modify their lifestyles and their eating habits, whether it's once a day throwing a few recipes out there or smoothies to make, or if it's ways of being more active in the daily life. For example, instead of sitting at a computer all day, find a computer desk that you can stand at. Very simple adjustments in the lifestyle that clients may not be aware of until you share them with them. And this is not something that you're going to want to focus time in your training sessions with, because you want to capitalize and maximize on the effectiveness of the time that you have together. So this is a perfect suggestion that you can throw in the first newsletter that they receive, and maybe an automation, and you come up with a template that every time a client signs up, they get an email blast that gives them some lifestyle adjustments that will benefit them, and some recipes and some diet suggestions, and maybe even a healthy grocery list that they can print out and bring with them to the supermarket and avoid the traps of what we would say the center of the supermarket. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, both for trainers and clients, the center of the supermarket, all the aisles in the middle are filled with the unhealthy stuff. If you circle the border of the supermarket, that's where they store all of the healthy foods, the fruits, the vegetables, usually the organic products, typically a lot of the imported international foods, which are much better when it comes to personal health than the things that are in the middle. If you look what's in the middle of the supermarket, it's usually cookies and snack foods and junk foods and chips and the things that don't go bad fast, and that's why, that don't expire quickly. That's why they sit in the middle, because they're full of preservatives. They know they don't have to be replaced too often, and the things from the back of the shelf got pushed to the front. On the outside of the supermarket, why is this? Because that's where the electrical outlets are. That's where the refrigerators are that keep things fresh, that expire quickly, and these are the healthier foods. So these are simple little tips that could go into your newsletter, that could be suggested on the Facebook group, and those things last. It's not a one-on-one video where your client has to remember all this stuff while doing their workout. It's there in print. You've given them examples. They can go back and reference it, or like I said, they can print it out and hang it on their door, or put it in their purse or their pocket and carry it with them when they go out through the day or on vacation or to the supermarket. So I highly recommend doing all of these things, and you will have a very successful e-coaching program, and not just one-on-one sessions that people won't feel like engaging with after the first 5 or 10 sessions. These are techniques and methods on how you can create lasting long-term relationships with clients. Just for an example, we had the gym open for 6-7 years, just about 7 years in the 2 locations. And still to this day on my mailing list, I have around 1,000 people, which is pretty much the amount of people that we saw in the gym over those few years, because we kept membership limited to those who were serious. Many of those people are still subscribed to the mailing list, and I've been closed now physically over 5 years, maybe even close to 7 years. So we've had this almost the same amount of clients for Temple Kinesis through the mailing list, which I, in my first few years in Costa Rica, didn't send out too much, but now I'm sending things out once or twice a week, and I still receive the same amount of engagement on my mailing list as I did when we were high functioning, fully operational 3-4 years into the gym with all of these physical members. So you will develop long-term relationships that normally e-coaching programs cannot develop, but a physical location of a gym can cultivate and develop. So if you apply some of these principles to your e-coaching program, these are things that are tried, tested, and stand true and valid, and you will have long-term support clientele and build a community that will believe in you and that will stick with you even after maybe you move to a different country or you close your physical location. There will still be that relationship built because of these principles and because you went above and beyond and formed a community outside of just one-on-one videos where you're making money in that moment. The investment in a little bit extra work and digitization of your mentality that these people, your clients would get while with you, can last and perpetuate for many, many years and decades after. And maybe because of this digital revolution, centuries and millennia after. We shall see. Thank you for tuning in, and hopefully a lot of these tips will help you build and sustain a really healthy and successful e-coaching business.